Hello everyone, welcome to the lesson of the day. Today we'll be talking about the basis of accounting. The basis of accounting refers to the method in which financial transactions are recorded and reported. It is also seen as a method used to record revenue and expenses in a company's financial statements. So it is the method utilized by the company in recording their transactions and expenses, like their revenues, the money they get, and the money they spend. So there are two main bases of accounting, and they include one, the cash basis, and two, the accrual basis. So let's begin. One, cash basis. This is a basis of accounting in which revenues and expenses are recorded when cash is actually received or spent. So in this method of accounting, we only record transactions when we receive the money or when we give out the money. So let's say, for instance, I purchase a pen on credit. I have collected the pen and I have used the pen, but I won't record it in my books of account. Why? Because I didn't pay for it. So no money was spent in that transaction. So therefore it would not be recorded in my book of account until I actually make payment for it. So let's take an example. XYZ Limited, a bread factory, delivered bread worth 5,000 naira to a supermarket on 1st January, but would not receive cash payment until 5th of January. Record this transaction utilizing cash basis. So like we said earlier, cash basis is a method in which transactions or expenses are recorded only when money is spent or received. So now you can see that we supplied the bread, but we have not received payment. So that means that we won't be recording it until we actually receive payment. So here is our illustration. So on 1st of January, goods worth 5,000 naira was supplied. So we cannot record that transaction. So there is going to be no entry on the 1st of January. But then we receive money on the 5th of February. So now let's look at our transaction entry. So now since money has been received, we are going to debit the cash account and we'll credit the sales account. So now we are recognizing this transaction. Why? Because it now has a financial impact on us. We can see the cash flow. So that is why. So that transaction is going to be recorded on the 5th of January. Now let's move to the accrual basis of accounting. The accrual basis of accounting is a method of accounting which recognizes revenue and expenses in the period in which they are earned or incurred. So in accrual basis of accounting, unlike the cash basis, we actually recognize expenses and revenue regardless of whether cash is spent or not, whether we receive the cash or not. So regardless of whether we receive the cash or not, we would recognize it in our book of accounts. So if we take our first instance, remember that on the 1st of January, we did not recognize anything in our books of accounts. But if it were to be in the accrual basis of accounting, we would have recognized that transaction on the 1st of January. So let's take an example. XYZ Limited, a bread factory, carried out the following transactions. 1st of January, sold goods to Nike on credit worth 10,000 naira. On 20th of January, received cash of 10,000 naira from Nike. Now let's look at our book of accounts. You would notice that in this solution, we actually recognize this transaction on the 1st of January. So remember, accrual basis, expenses, and revenue are recognized in the period in which they occur. So now let's look at the date. 1st of January, and now the transaction. Sold goods on credit to Nike. So now we are going to debit Nike's account with 10,000 naira and we would credit our sales account with 10,000 naira. Nike's account is going to be debited 10,000 naira. Why? Because she received goods worth 10,000 naira. And our sales account is credited because goods worth 10,000 naira left our account. Do you understand? Now let's move to the next transaction. On the 20th of January, received cash from Nike for the payment of the goods that were earlier supplied. So now the impact on this transaction of our books of account would be: one, our cash account, we are going to debit it 10,000 naira. Why we would credit Nike's account with 10,000 naira? So now why do we do this? Because remember, the debit side is the receiver side. So now our cash account would increase with 10,000 naira, meaning we are receiving cash. Why Nike's account would be credited with 10,000 naira? Why? She's giving us cash. She has received the benefit earlier in January, 1st of January. Now on the 20th of January, she's returning the favor. She's giving us our 10,000 naira back. I hope you got clear understanding of the accrual and the cash basis. And I hope you enjoyed the lesson as much as I enjoyed teaching it. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you very much, and see you in our next one.